Hey everyone, AquaTwist here. Welcome back to UI Spy, the series where I analyze the UI of video games. I have to say, I was blown away from this year. From all across the gaming spectrum, we've seen incredible UI after incredible UI, more so than any other year this decade so far. So I had a difficult time narrowing down the best UIs to just 5 games this time around. As always, I can't play everything, so there's a good chance you won't see some of the big titles from this year. 2026 is already looking stacked, but I'll definitely be playing catch up, especially as more games get ported to the Switch too. Sorry Expedition 33 and Silksong, maybe I'll talk about you one day. But without further delay, let's begin the list in no particular order. Donkey Kong Bananza. Donkey Kong Bananza is easily one of the best Nintendo games I've played in a long time. It perfectly evolves the UI design of Super Mario Odyssey, and I hope future 3D Mario titles push this further. We're breaking through boring white text and back to menu charm. The fonts of the HUD have defined sharp edges, giving them personality. They feature bold, chunky letters, while still being easy to read. This represents Bananza's wild adventure, compared to the standardized typical journey found in Mario Odyssey. There's also a wider color palette compared to the sterile red, white, gold color scheme of Odyssey. This makes certain UI elements, especially the HUD, pop out to players during gameplay, which is crucial for a high-action platformer like this. The pink hearts and yellow flame Bananza icons on the left side of the screen especially, representing the most important info for players to see at all times. Yellow is also boldly featured here, utilized more in the menus and fonts. Certain elements use this hot pink baby blue dual color scheme, evoking Pauline's rock era of her singing career. It's also a nice callback to the girders from the original Donkey Kong arcade game. The dual tones are also used for the blast barrels, instead of the iconic brown and red from the country games. The Mario Odyssey team, Nintendo EPD Tokyo, learned from their previous efforts for the map design. No longer is the world map entirely flat, but a full 3D diorama, like Metroid Prime or the modern Doom games. Highly detailed maps are super useful for a 3D platformer, especially one with a high amount of collectibles. Games without them can suffer as a result, and can make navigating levels more tedious than necessary. My only critique of Bananza's UI is the pause menu. It's just the game's logo on a cracked wall background with yellow menu buttons. This menu feels like it was an afterthought, and I wish more effort was put into it. Look at Chibi-Robo with its pause menu from 2006. It incorporates old computer file icons for each menu button with a different colored background. A catchy song plays as each menu button bounces around. Chibi-Robo took a boring pause menu and made it fit its wacky vibes. Going back to Bananza, what's even worse is constantly having to open the map to find where you need to go next. Sure, you can whistle with the L button to get a marker of the next Banandium gem or fossil you're looking for, but an option to display a minimap would have streamlined the gameplay flow. Don't get me wrong, Odyssey is a modern classic, and still holds up incredibly over 8 years later. But you can't deny that a return of a long-dormant IP is more exciting than a new entry in a series with constant releases. The Switch 2 could be the next GameCube, where it takes advantage of its larger audience to bring back absent IPs for a better chance of success. Donkey Kong Bananza gives me hope for the return of fun HUDs in Nintendo games again, and I'm excited to see what Nintendo EPD Tokyo will cook up next. Bubble Beast Digi Dungeon. You're probably thinking, you're putting an indie game that's not Hades 2 or Hollow Knight Silksong? You're on drugs! That's right, I have yet to play Silksong, but I discovered a hidden gem while I was at PAX West earlier this year. I went to the Seattle Indie Expo, a free event in the same general area, and got to play a few games. But of all the ones I played, Bubble Beast Digi Dungeon immediately caught my eye. I've never seen a game fully commit to playing on a fake handheld, inspired by the Nintendo DS. There's fake stickers on the device, which was a popular trend for DS owners back in the day. Even the aspect ratio is similar to the size of the original hardware. This dedication is unparalleled to even the wackiest AAA efforts nowadays, like Bubsy coming back with an actually good game. Dividing the UI up into two screens creates a clear distinction between the gameplay mechanics and indicators of level progression, as opposed to darting your eyes all over the screen to understand if you're playing correctly. Cutscenes have this nice single-colored backgrounds for both the top and bottom screens, almost psychedelic with their movement. I miss this effect that DS games used to do. There's just something cool about the gameplay screen being broken up that can't be recreated with just one screen. Unlike other Match 3 puzzle games, you can only shoot the bubbles to the beat of the tune, as indicated by the beat preview on the top left. Like in Rhythm Heaven, when there's a larger multi-part beat, a ring of multiple different colored bubbles appears, allowing you to connect more bubbles together. You have to pop as many as you can while staying within the danger zone before the song ends. The circle pad moves almost in sync with your mouse cursor or analog stick if you're playing on controller. A great visual indicator since it's not always clear the direction your cursor is moving in. All of the bottom screen elements have that signature shine, calling back to the Frutiger Arrow era of design dominant during the DS and Wii era of gaming. It gravitates players towards interacting with them, which is difficult with modern minimalist design and flat colors. Each menu also has repeating scrolling text, with the header of the menu and a description of what it does, calling back to those early 2000s MP3 players. Each button concisely tells you the different core mechanics. Beat previews, the next beat which the music goes to before a bubble is spawned, the combo multiplier when multiple bubbles are popped together, and the flavor preview, the next color bubble which will appear on screen. Chaining combos to a certain multiplier turns the text to rainbow, keeping me on my toes as I try to keep going even higher. As the levels progress, certain special beats appear, each indicated with a simple icon and a loud voice of the special's name.
Big, bomb, ring.
The bottom screen also features a radial menu, positioning each button in an arc. There's also text rotating in a circle, indicating the name of the bubble spawning. So if you change the bubble colors in the accessibility menu, you can still identify each unique shape of the bubbles so you can match them all together. Similar to the new versions of Uno cards, which help colorblind people still play. Each bubble is named after a flavor type, hence the name Flavor Preview, like sweet, salty, and umami.
Whoa! No, I didn't say ooh, mommy. Come on, get out of here.
The bubble icons even bounce to the music, giving life to the HUD elements and making the world more rhythmic. Character portraits on the top screen also bounce up and down, featuring heavy white outlines reminding me of the ones from Ghost Trick, also originally from the DS. But the background borders are incredible. You can choose from 7 different vibrant backgrounds for the curtain, packed full of patterns and imagery evoking early 2000s aesthetics, like fish and long stripes. In an era where nostalgia is the hot trend, it's refreshing to see a studio bring back the past with a purpose. There's a lot of potential to combine modern hardware with older technological limitations, and I'm surprised this isn't more common. Now, technically Bubble Beast launched in December 2024, so I know I'm cheating it by including it as part of my list. However, I wanted to take a page from the Game Awards and count it for this year, as this was my favorite game I played from the Seattle Indie Expo. I even got to speak to the lead developer, Dylan, aka Echo Lang themselves, and it was cool hearing about their perspective about why they enjoy making indie games. We don't see this level of transparency as often as we should, so indies are picking up the slack. And the best part of this game, it's free and super short. No microtransactions, no BS. Please don't skip it because, it's just another fairy game. What you see is what you get. You can literally beat the main story in 45 minutes, which is perfect to squeeze into any sized backlog. If you have even a Pikmin-sized interest in rhythm games, you got to add this to your Steam library. You won't regret it. Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. I just recently picked this up for half off on Black Friday, and the wait was worth it. I was hooked on Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition during its initial release, and with the Switch 2 hype, I wasn't able to get City of the Wolves until I was working on this video. The open beta was decent when I first played it back in February, but I struggled to understand the game mechanics. However, I knew from the moment I started playing, I knew I had to include it on this list. Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is my first SNK game I've bought, after enjoying playing Terry in Smash Ultimate for years. I have to thank SNK for pivoting industry trends by including all fighters from Season 1 as part of the base game, for just $60 at launch. One of the smartest moves made by a AAA company in 2025, especially with the current state of the industry. More games need to be set at lower prices to pull in people easier. Look at Expedition 33 and how much of a juggernaut it's become by just being $50. $70 for nearly every AAA game is starting to get exhausting and unaffordable for most people. Shifting gears into the UI though, the main menu divides each button into different sized panels, like a comic book. This design choice reflects the game's manga-inspired art style, featuring heavy dark outlines and bright neon tints in the character shading. The negative space in between each element is pure black, identical to Smash Ultimate's menu. Hovering over a menu button fills in the empty space with a yellow rectangle and description of the mode. While the side panels for a mode's sub-menus are tiny and awkward, the yellow rectangular buttons are lined up nicely, contrasting against the black background. But outside of the main menu, the rest of the UI isn't noteworthy. You can edit the colors of your fighters, a Blue Moon inclusion in a fighting game, especially in the 2020s. And the character select screen features full body shots of each selectable fighter, instead of the traditional cropped portraits. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. That is until we get to the meat and potatoes of any fighting game, the Battle HUD. We're getting a breath of fresh air after the limited color palettes and minimalist design of modern fighting games. Looking at you, King of Fighters 15. Don't get me wrong, I respect the design choice to use just solid colors, as when done right, this gives the game a clean look, avoiding distractions for more competitive players. But personally, when I play a fighting game, I want to get hyped. I crave an adrenaline rush like in an insane anime fight, flashy effects and all. City of the Wolves exemplifies how fighting games can balance readability with over-the-top action. It iterates upon KOF 15's health and guard gauges. Simply adding gradients and dotted patterns completely transforms the HUD to be more engaging. It breathes life into all the HUD elements, sucking me in with this eye candy. The timer has a circular slider which moves counterclockwise, a great visual indicator of a match's progress. Character portraits have a slate sea green and pink tint for players 1 and 2 respectively, so they don't bleed out against the background. This places a greater emphasis on the SPG and Rev Meter, the core mechanics of City of the Wolves. SPG, or Selective Potential Gauge, buffs your attack and defense, the latter which changes depending on where you select your SPG before a match. When your health bar reaches the SPG zone, the announcer shouts, SPG! Compare this to Garo, Mark of the Wolves, the predecessor to City of the Wolves. Just changing the color from white to red can make players forget about the SPG in a blink of an eye, especially when they're getting their ass kicked. But the SPG isn't enough this time around. The Rev Meter is quintessential to winning matches. The Rev Meter displays as an arc, like a speedometer, and as with a car, you have to be sure to rev up by using your rev actions without reaching the highest gear. The higher the meter goes, the greater the risk of reaching overheat, and the bar changes color to orange. Overheat text appears in bold orange lettering with black outlines, with smoke coming off of the gauge. This is a better representation of the burnout state found in Street Fighter 6, when your drive gauge is fully depleted. City of the Wolves borrows many similar mechanics from Street Fighter 6 while putting a unique spin on them. This genius design works in SNK's favor, arguably better encouraging players to liberally use their resources to succeed. And finally, the power meter is separated into 2 individual bars, where a star appears when a super, or ignition gear, is ready to be used. The star is the core symbol of Mark of the Wolves and City of the Wolves, 2 of the most iconic Fatal Fury games. Hence why the star is the represented series icon for Terry in Smash Ultimate, and why they're used for the power meter and number of rounds won. But using the star prevents confusion when placed next to the rev meter, as it already uses a percentage number. With a busy holiday season and even busier 2026, I won't have the time to play much City of the Wolves, but I'm glad I got the chance to experience it, as it's one of the most enjoyable UIs I've seen from a fighting game in recent memory. Pokemon Legends ZA. I never thought I'd say this, but a modern Pokemon game is one of the best games I've played this year. Yes, I'm serious. While not the most striking UI design in the world, it's the UX and gameplay loop that keeps me hooked into the experience, from beginning to end. For the first time in a Pokemon game, battles are no longer turn-based. Rather, you fight Pokemon in real time. Your Pokemon's 4 moves are arranged in a diamond pattern, identical to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3. Xenoblade is one of my favorite RPGs of all time, so to see another series adapt this combat style is a dream come true. The diamond pattern is perfect for displaying these moves, as it gives plenty of screen real estate to let the action happen. I love turn-based games, but this is the shakeup that Pokemon's needed for years. Like in Legends Arceus, each move has a symbol indicating if they're super effective, or ineffective. This iconography is genius, telling players at a quick glance which type matchup is optimal in a given fight. Bringing this to the mainline games makes the language more universal, especially for younger players, which Pokemon is mainly made for. Dare I say it, but real-time combat suits Pokemon way better in the modern day, especially for fans of the anime. So if this never returns in a new game, I'll be very disappointed. However, I wish Legends ZA's UI emphasized the plus moves more. You can unleash these attacks to deal more damage by spending 1 bar of your Mega Evolution gauge. It would have been nice if a bar on the gauge blanked back and forth when activating the plus moves, reminding you of the resource's cost. The gauge and attack meter are too close together after all. But another strength of ZA's UI is Mabel's research. For completionists, going for the shiny charm is super rewarding. Unlike Arceus, where you had to do a bunch of tasks for every Pokemon you encountered, you just have to catch a specific amount of each type, complete all the wild zones, and do 1,000 battles.
Oh! I spent all the time for nothing! Thanks, Game Freak!
Each task is clearly broken down into categories, with each iteration indicated by a number in parentheses. Like a battle pass, each level's reward is laid out in advance, giving me motivation to progress. Every level completed was super satisfying, and it was exciting to finally get my first ever shiny charm in a Pokemon game. While building the first Pokedex made sense for story purposes, Mabel's research streamlined the completion experience. Having the end goal in sight from minute 1 should be the standard of all games with similar completion rewards, as it motivates you to go out of your way to explore more of the content. But my favorite quality of life feature is in the settings. As part of the tourist tips, there's a whole type matchup chart, including every type's strengths and weaknesses. As someone who's only played a handful of the mainline games, this feature was a godsend. If it wasn't included, I would have struggled to get through the story, as the battle HUD doesn't indicate what types your opposing Pokemon are. Though I wish I could pin it to the game or access it from one button, as constantly having opened the tourist tips menu, then jump down to the bottom to open it was tedious. But this forced me to memorize specific type matchups, like ground being strong against electric. This knowledge is especially useful as I plan to play more of the mainline games when the 30th anniversary begins next year. The Pokédex is also well presented and organized, especially compared to Scarlet and Violet. With only 231 Pokemon to catch as of this writing, it's quick scrolling down a short, organized list. Each Pokemon's portrait captures the unique personality traits similar to those in Smash Ultimate, instead of a generic idle pose, such as Lucaria's fighting stance or Haunter's thick tongue. When you walk onto a Pokemon out in the wild, a shiny symbol appears next to its name if it's shiny. Shiny hunting is the easiest it's ever been in a Pokemon game. The thrill of hearing that sound and frantically looking for where that shiny is never gets old. Hi, I'm Uncle Phil, and I'm here to tell you if you want to hear better sounds out there, you gotta go to www. We'll be right back. I'll send you a link. But my gripes aren't done. For being a Zygarde-focused Pokemon game, there's almost no green in any of the UI or HUDs. What's up with that? ZA could have beaten Persona 6 by having a dominantly green menu. it will have looked sick, maybe reminding us of the original Xbox menus. We're in Lomios, damn it! Where's that elegant French charm? Artists did an excellent job incorporating the feudal Japanese aesthetic with its black brushstrokes and sandpaper panels. Now we're back to these overly sleek menus, blah! But let's hope future Pokemon games evolve the gameplay and quality of life additions further from the Legends games, as the mainline games deserve to be grander than what's currently being offered. Kirby Air Riders. Wow, where do we even begin? In a year full of impossibilities coming true, this has to take the cake. A cult classic GameCube game which barely sold over 1 million copies returning, and Sakurai is directing it again instead of a new Smash game? Absolutely insane. So for the first time in my channel's history, I'm including a game I've already covered as part of my best game UI of the year list. Don't get me wrong, I love Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and its incredible HUD design. I was extremely close to including it in this video, and the 8-year wait was well worth it. But I couldn't ignore the innovations found in Kirby Air Riders. It sets the precedent for how menus should look and feel in future Switch 2 games, and will be extremely difficult to surpass. Kirby Air Riders greatly evolves the UI direction forward established in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. While I initially thought these two were too similar to each other, I couldn't be more wrong. Kirby Air Riders still lacks the iconic Kirby charm within its menus, mainly being saved for the character models, animations, and music. But there are dozens upon dozens of improvements made to Smash Ultimate's design philosophy, which makes Kirby Air Riders feel fresh in the modern day. Every time I boot up this game, I'm discovering new quirks and features about these menus. The sheer amount of details I noticed while working on this video almost took up half the script. You can't get a full picture of how dense these menus are from a 5-minute summary, but I'll try to cover some of the important highlights. If you want to see a full in-depth video about Kirby Air Riders' UI, let me know in the comments down below. For most Nintendo fans, when they're extremely hyped for a game, they tend to blow their they eat the whole buffet, so to speak. Instead of slowly digesting one trailer at a time, some fans want to know everything they can. Although I watched the first Direct and played the Global Test Race and PAX West demos, I skipped the second Direct and avoided most spoilers until the game's launch on November 20th. And as you'll see, the wait was worth it.
Damn, look at that! Oh my god.
For once, Nintendo's core focus of surprise and delight worked well in its favor. It's incredible to see Michiko Sakurai return to a materialistic menu design, calling back to Smash 64's opening cutscene and Kirby Superstar's menu. Using a Kirby figure as the mouse cursor on a wooden desk makes the main menus feel playful. Other naturalistic elements appear, like a notebook and pencil, to headphones on the music player menu. Even the Kirby figure gets tiny little headphones. How cute is that? The top-down camera angle is a change of pace from Mrs. Sakurai's standard flat menu design. This menu is indicative of her continued efforts to make a UI feel unique within the time period her games release in. Going into the settings, there's a lot to unpack here. The opacity can be set to high contrast to make elements pop out more, especially on OLED screens. You can also adjust the field of vision, camera distance, rider tracking, etc., so you can see more of your surroundings. Perfect for city trial, as I'm always struggling to see what's going on around me. Do you find the gameplay UI overwhelming? Each HUD element can be toggled off individually, allowing you to customize the UI to suit your preferences. Or heck, turn them all off and make your own machinimas. I know someone who would be super happy about that. And if you want an authentic 2-button experience, you can turn off every button in your controller except for 2. Using blue for the boost button and orange for the special button is perfect,
as those complementary colors are less likely to be affected by color blindness.
Speaking of which, there is a separate menu for accessibility! Oh my god, Nintendo, you did it! For the first time ever, in a first-party Nintendo game, there's a list of options to accommodate players with visual and motor impairments. Color blindness modes, larger text sizes, checklist hints, reduced motion and tilt, reduced speed intensity. This is huge! Is this Nintendo's Accessible Games initiative finally coming into action? I hope so. All future Nintendo games should have these features by default. No one should ever be gatekept from a game because of their disabilities. The settings and accessibility features go light years beyond what was found in Smash Ultimate. They signify how highly the Sakurais value UI within their projects, and cannot be overlooked. And last but not least, you can create your own custom machines! Every non-legendary machine can be decked out with decals and stickers, unlocked by completing challenges in the checklist. My machine gives you a surprisingly robust toolset, allowing you to adjust the specific color, depth, rotation, and size of elements. There's just enough limitations to allow for near endless creative possibilities, without being overwhelming. Like the Miitopia Switch remaster, people have pushed the My Machine editor to its limits, with thousands of amazing creations out there. It's a real shame you can only display 3 at a time. On the bright side, you can buy these machines with your in-game miles, and play with them online. This system couldn't have been made any easier. I've always had a soft spot for games with accessible user creation tools like this. It's nice to see a modern Nintendo game bring this back, after the shutdown of Flip no Hatena and decline of Mario Maker. With Air Riders being the smoothest Sakurai-directed online experience to date, people are more inclined to use custom machines compared to custom stages or Miis in Smash Ultimate. This treasure trove of customization allows players to make something that is truly their own, like in Tekken 8, also developed by Bandai Namco. The background song of this menu is a blend of the Wii U's Mii Maker theme, and the trophy gallery from Brawl. Further encapsulating the game's revival of the Frutiger Arrow vibes. So, are we in a simulation? How is it that every single feature from Mario Kart DS, which has been absent in the series for over 20 years, boss battles, custom vehicles, mission mode, returned in Kirby Air Riders? This is a crowning achievement in Mr. Sakurai's legacy, in Mrs. Sakurai's UI portfolio. Nearly every Super Smash Bros. Game has a great interface, but these quality of life features cannot be overlooked. Let's just ditch the minimalism and add some more charm next time, please. But Nintendo actually did it! They made a better racing game than Mario Kart, the king of all racing games! Well, I know what to do with Mario Kart World now.
Amazing dunk!
And there you have it, my favorite UI from games released in 2025. There were so many amazing games that it was difficult to pick just 5 again. I included a balanced variety of genres to showcase the incredible potential of great menu design from all sides of the gaming industry. 2026 is already looking to be the best year for media in the 2020s, at least personally. From Marvel took on Fighting Souls pushing the boundary of typical fighting game HUDs with 4v4 combat, Atlas cooking up another banger with Persona 4 Revival, Resident Evil and Pokemon turning 30, there seems to be constantly be new things to look forward to next year every passing day, giving me needed hope for the future. What was your favorite game UI this year? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like this video, share this video, and subscribe if you want to see me analyze more game menus. Thank you to everyone for supporting me this year, and remember, your life is your own.
Objection!